Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and I hope that this video finds you well. Do me a huge favor. As soon as you're in, smash that thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. How's your day going and where are you tuning in from? Let's get right into it. General Flynn has just exposed something that has Washington, D.C., crooked criminal Democrats and rhinos shaking in their boots. What he has just exposed about 2020, 2022, and 2024 will forever change the dynamics of future elections and the way we see Russia, China, and collusion of our government with foreign adversaries to change outcomes of our will when it comes to choosing and voting for candidates. We're about to get into all of that. But before we continue, ladies and gentlemen, sponsor of today's live is VERITY Metals. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a family faith-based gold, silver, and precious metals IRA firm. They protect your money through physical constitutional gold and silver. And they'll be more than happy to give you free silver on your next qualifying order when you make sure to mention that Vlad sent you. Call or text 480-717-9081. Links are down below in the description. Thank you. Let's continue. Now, here's what we're gonna look at this story, and this is absolutely shocking. There we go. General Flynn and Jerome Corsi, Trump's national security emergency investigation into election fund is ongoing. Now, before I get into this, the point of what General Flynn exposed is he said, when they told us that Trump colluded with Russia in 2016, he said they lied and set a pretext to allow China to collude in 2020 with the Democrats and then wave it off. So they lied about Russian collusion just so that we become numb to hearing that another nation colluded with a political party to win the presidency, so that then they can collude with China in 2020 and it be ignored. Let's continue. With Tulsi Gabbard announcement last Friday that an ongoing intelligence agency investigation has evidence that our choosing computers are vulnerable to cyber attack hackers, President Trump's actions suggest he is moving quickly to declare an election fund national security emergency. I do have to be careful with my words in this video, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you understand. On March 24, 2025, when President Trump issued executive order, quote, preserving and protecting the integrity of American elections, he did so under the auspices of his Article 2 executive powers as commander-in-chief, placing it beyond judicial lawfare. Nevertheless, 19 Democrat state attorney generals have already filed lawsuits charging that the executive order violates the Constitution's mandate delegating to state legislatures the power to determine how presidential elections are held. Trump, however, is correct that chooser election fund coming from outside America is an overriding national security concern. On January 7, 2021, listen to this, on January 7th, 2021, John Ratcliffe, then the director of national intelligence, wrote a memo entitled Intelligence Community Assessment, Foreign Threats to the 2020 United States Choosings. In it, he stated explicitly that, quote, that the People's Republic of China sought to influence the 2020 U.S. federal elections in a move that raised the need for intelligence community to address the underlying issues with China. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, do me a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from? I really appreciate it. I love seeing how far this video gets. He goes on to say, Ratcliffe stressed that political bias, including from within the CIA under Obama, pressured analysts dissenting from the quote Russia collusion narrative to downplay reporting that China's efforts to influence U.S. elections were quote undue influence or interference, leading to the false impression that Russia sought to influence the 2020 election, but China did not. Do you see what he wrote, ladies and gentlemen? He wrote that memo saying they were saying, oh, Trump colluded with Russia. And they knew it was a lie. But what they were doing is they were preparing the American people to be numb 4 years later, around 2020, when the question of China colluding with the Democrats, if the American people would hear that, they'd be like, that's a lie. First it was Russia, now it's China. You see how they played that game, ladies and gentlemen? Unfortunately, Ratcliffe's memorandum was issued one day after Vice President Pence allowed Congress to proceed to certify the 2020 presidential election without challenge. If it had been delivered 2 days earlier, history could have been changed. Assuming Pence had integrity and the courage of his convictions, he might have challenged the 2020 choosing when he presided over the joint meeting of Congress for certification. Had Pence challenged the 2020 choosing, we might never have the January 6th protest march on Congress that led to the radical left's insurrection prosecutions. Since then, there's been increasing evidence that Ratcliffe was correct about China's attack on America's information system. In November, the Washington Post reported that China-linked hackers penetrated Verizon, AT&T, and Lumen Technologies to collect audio calls of U.S. politicians and their staff in an operation Microsoft characterized as Salt Typhoon 1 month during a secret meeting in Geneva with Biden officials. China admitted to hacking American infrastructure due to U.S. support of Taiwan. So China admitted they are more than able and capable of hacking America, China, Taiwan, and all that stuff. It's very interesting. Man, this is a lot to read. So here's what Trump is doing. Armed with this information, on April 4, 2025, Trump fired National Security Agency Director Timothy Hugh and the NSA Deputy Director Wendy Noble. Made vulnerable by these moves were John Brennan, Obama's CIA Director, and Obama's Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. Nevertheless, despite evidence that China has hacked into America's systems, the media have relentlessly insisted that there was no fun in the 2020 choosing. A recent example of the AP's reporting about the lawsuit challenging Trump's choosing integrity executive order. Quote, election officials have said recent elections have been the most secure in U.S. history. Oh, okay. Now, here's what General Flynn is saying. Where was this? Okay. The brilliance of Trump's second term, not yet 100 days old, is that Trump, even though stymied by apparent DOJ and FBI foot dragging, is determined to expose 2020 fun. Pivoting from the DOJ FBI criminal investigation, Trump sought more fertile ground exploring whether the CIA expanded its long-established interference in foreign choosings into a possibly treasonous CIA conspiracy to subvert our choosings. President Trump is right. A national security emergency exists if the CIA's 1950s plan to intervene in foreign elections has morphed into an open door for foreign hackers to intervene in domestic choosings. How can we continue to ignore that the Chinese Communist Party continued cyber attacks aimed at undermining vital U.S. infrastructure, including the computer technology with which we currently conduct our elections, constitute a national security emergency of the highest order? So here's where this gets absolutely as I was, reading and going through all of this and going through General Flynn's warnings, do you guys know why Taiwan votes only in person and paper ballots? Taiwan, who used to use machines, and then they dropped the machines after, I think, like after 2 elections, because they said China is too advanced and too powerful for us to use any kind of machinery. Paper ballots in person only. And General Flynn is warning, if we want to continue as a free republic, as a constitutional republic, we must investigate 2020. And I love how they explain what was the point of them lying about Russia interfering in 2016. The point was this, so that then 4 years later, when they actually do collude with China, many Americans would be numb to hearing something like, yes, the countries are colluding in our elections with a political party. We've heard it for 4 years and Trump's not in prison. See, it was a pre-programming of the American people. Trump colluded. We've got all the evidence, but they never showed us any evidence. No one ever got in trouble. No one got indicted. How is it that if Trump colluded with Russia to win the 2016 election, how is it that he's free today? Not only free, but he's the president again. It makes no sense. But it does when you understand what General Flynn is saying. They didn't just lie. It was a much bigger plan to numb the American people to hearing a foreign nation is, controlling our elections. They in DC are terrified. So Trump signed an executive order about a month ago saying, we have an election emergency. 19 Democrat attorney generals sued him that day and said, no, we don't. Don't look into the election. And then I reported on this last Friday at Trump's cabinet meeting, Tulsi Gabbard said, we have been investigating these machines and we have evidence that you can hack them. You can flip choosings. You can, one person sitting in the back who controls the software will actually choose the outcome and the winner. That can happen. And she said, soon we're going to give you more info. So, ladies and gentlemen, for all the people that are saying, oh, we got to move on and move to the future. Yes, but there are some things we can't ignore. There are some things we can't just leave in the past. They must be fixed. People must be held accountable, or we will not have any freedom to hand down to our children and future generations. But before we wrap this up, I got a video that you are going to absolutely enjoy. As I reported yesterday on Big Leticia James, and that the Trump administration has referred Leticia James to Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice for criminal indictment for lying on mortgage applications, so mortgage fraud. Now, more pressing questions emerge regarding Leticia James when conservative reporters visit her 2 homes in Norfolk, Virginia, and discover she's nowhere to be found. So as a primary residence, she's got several homes all over Virginia and New York. And then she's supposed to live there, but she doesn't live there. She actually rents them out. But she lied on the mortgage application because if you're buying a property to rent, your interest rates are higher. But if you're buying a home for yourself, your interest rates are lower. So for over 2 decades, she's been lying. And before I play the video, one last thing, just 2 weeks before she indicted Trump, she got a government grant loan with very low percentage because she bought a 4-unit building and she got very low interest. But in order to qualify for that low interest grant from the government, it has to be a 4 unit, but it was actually a 5. So she lied on the application. She bought a 5, but on paperwork, she said 4 just to get a better loan. Here's the 2 clips of people going to her houses. And look, it says no trespassing all over the place. They put all these
parked the driveway.
Hello there, ma'am. No comment?
Yeah, you're trespassing.
Okay, who lives here?
Who lives here, ma'am?
No comment. Okay.
So that's number 1. And here's another one. Here, let me make this full screen.
Hi there. I'm a reporter with the Daily Caller News Foundation.
Goodbye, you're trespassing.
I'm sorry.
Trespassing. My kids are out here.
I understand. We mean no trouble. We're just curious who the occupants of the home are,
Don't
because
worry
there's
about whose occupants. That's none of your business.
well there
You're
are
trespassing.
connections to
Okay, but
New
you're
York Attorney
trespassing.
General Leticia
That doesn't
James.
matter. You're trespassing.
Are you related to
You're
Leticia James?
Do you know her?
You're trespassing. Go in the house.
Do you know
You're
Leticia James?
trespassing.
No?
You're
Okay.
trespassing.
No comment. Thank you,
Don't
ma'am.
come up to my house no more.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a good one.
It's gonna be problem.
You will. Be well.
So Daily Wire Street journalists went to 2 of her properties, and both of the people, you could tell, were trained. Don't talk to them. You're trespassing. Get out. No comment. They were trained by somebody how to legally force you to leave. By the way, if you think Big Leticia James deserves to be in prison, smash that thumbs up and subscribe. If you haven't done that up until now, I'm sure this is the one where it's going to happen, because I believe she needs to go to prison. And here's what we know so far. As of, it's been just under 24 hours that the Trump White House has referred Leticia James to Pam Bondi for a criminal indictment. I don't know. Did I play you this video? Let me show you this video of Leticia James yesterday finding out that Trump is about to indict her. Here, I'm going to play you this video and watch her freak out. Here, let me find it. Here it is. This is her yesterday after she found out she's about to be indicted.
My mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best.
Oh, yeah. George
I went
Soros.
to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2 until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. Let's go.
You know she's freaking out. That's the face of fear. That's the face of fear. And I want to point out 2 things that she said. Number 1, we're not waiting 4 years. We're waiting 2. Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are right now in full force preparing and already buckling down and registering voters for the 2026 midterm election. Please make sure you vote. Make sure you're registered. If you move, update your voter status. I'm already working on several districts here in Arizona where a Democrat won Congress by less than 2 points, or where it was really close. We can flip them for Trump. We must, if the Democrats take control of the House in 2026, the last 2 years of Trump's presidency are going to be hell. It's going to be impeachment after impeachment after impeachment. They're going to start funding wars again. They're going to defund building the wall. It's going to be horrible. Ladies and gentlemen, we gotta stay vigilant, register new voters. You vote. Ladies and gentlemen, we got this. But if we, in 2024, a radical Democrat wins, they're not going to leave Trump alone. They're going to start indicting him again. They're going to do the same thing they did under Biden. So we got a wake-up call under Biden. And God gave us mercy and grace to win 2024. This is why we must absolutely be ready to vote, 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 and Democrats cannot win. Before I wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen, again, one last time, if you're interested in getting some free silver on your next precious metals order, Verity Metals, call that number, mention Vlad that I sent you. That's it. And then your next order, they'll hook you up. So God bless you. I'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned. Smash that thumbs up. I'm out.